Have you ever wondered what it's like to work in law enforcement? Here on Behind the Star, we share stories about the Orange County Sheriff's Office, Central Florida's largest law enforcement agency. From forensics to dispatch to the deputies on patrol, we'll talk to the brave men and women who protect our community. This is Behind the Star, the official podcast of the Orange County Sheriff's Office. Welcome to Behind the Star, the official podcast of the Orange County Sheriff's Office. My name is Jon Busdeker, your host here at Behind the Star, and I want to thank everybody who is a subscriber to Behind the Star. We've been doing this for almost 2 years now, and we've been trying to do stories and podcasts about our agency from civilian to sworn. So if you're a subscriber, thank you so much. Tell your friends. We're always looking for more people to hear about what we do here at the Orange County Sheriff's Office. I'm really excited about today's episode because we get to talk to some really cool guys who do some really cool stuff here at the Sheriff's Office. And I don't want to waste anybody's time, so I'm going to get right to it. I'm here with Lieutenant Kris Hall of the Hazardous Devices Team, and I'm also here with Master Deputy Kris Brooks. Welcome to Behind the Star.
Well, thank you for having us.
Great being here.
I'm excited to have you because, I think a lot of people, they watch movies, they see TV shows, and they see the bomb squad out there, and they have all these ideas of what it's like and what the movies and TV sort of portray, and I'm sure it's a little bit different than that, and so that's why you're both here to sort of maybe separate the myths from the realities. So I'll start with you, Lieutenant Hall, Hazardous Devices Team. What exactly does that mean? What does your job entail?
Well, it's better known. Probably most people know the bomb squad. It would probably be easier for most people to relate to.
And maybe pronounce it when I'm saying it fast.
So the Hazardous Devices Team, or the bomb squad, we respond to anything that's suspicious, any suspicious bag, anything that's kind of out of the ordinary and in a spot that's not really where it doesn't belong, or any explosives that we find or people find. Military ordnance, anything like that, we'll respond to and handle and either make it go away or make it safe or something like that.
And so how do those calls come in? I when I see it on the news, it always seems like it's a backpack that somebody left on the side of the road. Is that what happens? Somebody calls 911 and said, I've seen that there and it's been there for a few hours and I just want to make sure that it's not a bomb. Master Deputy, is that sort of how it works?
The majority calls, yes, and then we'll get some direct calls from other agencies because we do support the Osceola County Sheriff's Office and all of Osceola County, and also our connecting counties, Volusia, Seminole, Brevard, and Lake County. So we'll get direct calls from them also.
Do they not have Hazardous Devices Team in their counties?
Osceola does not. We support Volusia, who has one. Brevard has a small team, and also Lake County has a small team.
All right. So what I said earlier about the backpacks, I know there's way more than that, but that's when I hear about it. It seems like all the time is that there was a backpack left by a homeless person or a transient. Is that part of the calls, or is that some of them?
Or? So, a lot of times we'll get the patrol deputies would normally respond first to kind of figure out, see what it is, and then determine if it's something suspicious. And then usually the supervisor calls me or the comm center who calls me, and then I activate my team and put out their phone, the call to all of them, and then they go and pick up the trucks, and we respond and start setting up. And, a lot of times we'll run a robot down there if we can. We've got 3 different robots that we can use, and so it's good. So that's how we normally get the call when we start responding. But, yeah, a lot of times, you backpack at the bus stop or, someplace that is really just out of the ordinary. It's not normal for somebody to leave where it's at.
Yeah. So when you get that call and you go out there and you start sort of assembling and figuring out what to do, what are the steps? Does somebody say, well, that just looks like a backpack, I should go up there? But I know it's maybe dangerous because I'm sure 900,000 times out of, a million, it's going to be a backpack. But, it's that one time that it could be something else that you have to be prepared for.
Yeah, we don't want to, once we're out there, we're all going to take all the proper steps. It's that one time where you just get lackadaisical and just kind of don't do it by the numbers. That is when somebody gets hurt. So we'll always do it by the same numbers. We'll use the robot if we can. If we don't have to send someone down there, we can do it remotely. That's even better. That way you don't risk. If it is a device and it goes off, then we don't risk injuring anybody else. If we lose a robot, we lose a robot. But but we always still even if we dismantle it, it's probably not a threat. We'll still send somebody down in a bomb suit just to do a final assessment on it. And we'll do x-rays and stuff like that. So we always go by the numbers no matter what if we're on scene.
We are going to get to the bomb suit in a little bit because I've seen some people put it on. But before I get that far, Master Deputy, how did you end up on the Hazardous Devices team?
I got recruited by a current member that's on the team. We worked together in the motor squad also. So got kind of recruited that way, and then back in 2005, and have been on the team since then. And plan on staying here until I retire. Our team is very unique, made up of a bunch of different guys, a bunch of different backgrounds. They're very, very tech savvy. They're very hands-on oriented. They're going to one of the most trained teams the sheriff's office has, and our training is outstanding. We go to a lot of different federal classes. We have a bunch of different small sets inside the bomb squad that some person may love the robot, but another person loves doing something else. So we have they find their niche in there, and they tend to flourish. So we push our guys hard, and I consider our team one of the best teams in the country.
So, Lieutenant Hall, how do you even get on the team? I mean, Master Deputy Brooks here mentioned he was recruited. How do you get on the team? And once you're on the team, how do you even train to be on the team? And what do you do?
We have a tryout process for the new people who want to come on. So basically, it's very physical oriented. Involves running, push-ups, sit-ups. We have a swim test, and then probably the most important test is our bomb suit test that we do, probably and mostly because people don't realize they're claustrophobic sometimes until they put the bomb suit on, and we'll get into that.
Maybe describe the bomb suit a little bit.
The bomb suit, it's just a very big and bulky. It's got protective pants, jacket, helmet. It weighs anywhere between, depending which one you have, usually between 65 and 85 pounds. So it's very heavy, very limited in your vision also when you put the helmet on.
And what's the purpose of it?
It's protection. So if the bomb goes off, blast protection, frag protection is really what it's for, to protect the bomb tech that's going down range.
Is it air conditioned?
No air conditioning.
Oh,
no
man.
fans. There is a small fan in the helmet, but that's really just to keep the face mask from fogging up. So there's no, it's 95, 100 degrees outside when we're working in it sometimes during the summer, and there's no, you're just very limited in the time you can be in it because it's very exhausting.
So you said sometimes people can pass all the tests, and then they put the bomb suit on, they kind of freak out, and they're like, I can't do this.
Yeah, so we do that that's as part of our tryout process so that they have the opportunity to see what it's like to have the bomb suit on and to work in it. So they have, we use the rappel tower at the range, which has several different levels on there, and that on each level they have a set of instructions that they have to complete in a time in a certain 30 minutes. So that way they get the fine motor skills of working in the bomb suit and kind of understand how it works and what it's like, and that they're capable of working in it.
Matt, how did you do in the bomb suit? All right, you're on the team, so you made it, Master Deputy.
I think I was the last pick, but I made it. But we have had people put the bomb suit on them, and we have a little get to know. About 2-3 minutes, we'll sit them in the chair, put the helmet on, and we've had people, as soon as the helmet goes down, nope, take this thing off, I'm not doing this.
Wow.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
We'd rather have them do it than put a lot of time into them and then find out this is not for them.
What makes a good bomb squad hazardous device team member?
A lot of the guys are out there recruiting. Sometimes you'll have people come in that are just interested in joining the team. They're interested in that work, whether they've done it in the military or whether they just have that interest coming in. We look for somebody who works well as a team, but can also think on their feet quickly, thinks outside the box. Somebody will take a little bit of risk, because obviously anything we do is there's risk to what we do. Mm-hmm. So they're a little bit of a risk taker, not crazy. They're not off the edge where they're doing something way off to the left field, but they got to take a little bit of risk. And somebody that just enjoys very technically oriented, whether it's electronics or using tools.
So the training part of it, where does that come from? I think you told me that it's not. I mean, I'm sure you train here locally, but you go off and do that too.
So yeah, so after they make the team, they're on the team for about a year. We put the paperwork in. So every bomb tech in the country, there's about 3,000 bomb techs throughout the whole country. We go up to Huntsville, Alabama for school, for a basic school, which is 6 weeks long. We go there for the training, and then every 3 years we go back. So to be recertified, so we get, and that's all done by the FBI.
So what's the training? I mean, how does that work? Is there a red wire and a blue wire and a yellow wire, and you got to cut the right one, or?
A lot of it's, initially they kind of work from a basic to advanced, and kind of start out with basic demo, explosive theory, that type of stuff, and other just small techniques. And then you move in. They have villages up there, so you actually run calls with your team that you've formed up there, and you actually work scenario calls throughout these villages as part of your testing and as part of your learning.
And there's no artificiality. They give you the call, you work the call from start to finish, whatever you have to do to take care of the device. We call it on our team. We have a part-time team with a full-time commitment because we're gone from our normal jobs, per se, more than we're at our normal jobs. And it causes some stress for some guys on the team because trying to work 2 jobs at once. Mm-hmm. But as far as our training goes, all of our guys are hazmat technicians, so they have to go to hazmat before, so that's another 2-week class. We get into radiological and nuclear stuff. So we're traveling constantly for different trainings. So our guys have a lot of knowledge that a lot of people don't know about. So, and then our equipment is second to none. We probably have $8-9 million worth of equipment. Just everything. If you put a bomb squad or SWAT into any type of equipment, of course they're going to charge a lot more. But our basic robot we're trying to buy is around $400,000. So, but $400,000 is better than a life. So
yeah. So the robots. Let's talk about that. I mean, what does a robot do? I mean, does it have arms and scissors or not? I mean, I just don't know because I've seen photos, but I don't know exactly what it does.
So our current robot, it's got 6 different cameras. So we got that visibility, being able to see. It's got a gripper, which is kind of like your hand, and it's got an arm, so it's basically just like your arm. So it's got a wrist that moves. It's got an elbow that moves, a shoulder that moves. So we're able to kind of manipulate anything, grab it, move it, kind of reach up high, low, something like that if we need to. And then it's got what we call toes, but it's like it's got the wheels plus it's got tracks. So we can go up on what we call the toes. So it's the front and the back. It moves up and down. So we can reach a little bit higher. We also have what we call our pans. They kind of look like shotgun barrels that we shoot water out of. So if we need to disrupt the package or kind of open it, per se, we can shoot water out of there using blanks. So it's got several different tools that we can put on it. We can X-ray off of it if we need to, And this robot's 20 years old. So if we get the newer ones, the newer technologies, obviously, between 20 years, technology has just increased exponentially. So there's a lot more capabilities. Some of the other ones with mapping and different tools that it can use, stuff like that.
So I know earlier I don't want to say I joked because I know there are some times when there are just backpacks left. But let's go to the other way. Let's say it is some sort of explosive and highly dangerous something out there. What do you do? I mean, you show up. Maybe just walk me through that. You show up and you say, okay, this is something that could really harm a lot of people if it does detonate. I mean, what's sort of the steps and what happens? I'll start with you, Master Deputy.
So basically, we'll show up on scene. We'll make sure our scene is secure because there have been incidents throughout the country where bombers target bomb squads. So we'll show up, make sure our scene is good, and then we'll develop a plan. If we can use a robot, we're going to use a robot. But there are some times we can't. So we'll have to send a guy straight down in a suit. So either way, we can X-ray. We're typically going to X-ray the package, whether it's from the robot or manually. Bring it back, develop, see what we look like. If there's anything hinky in there that we're not good with, we're probably going to use some type of explosive tool. We have multiple different types, and so we use some type of explosive tool, which is kind of hard for some people to figure out. We're using explosives on explosives.
Yeah.
But it's a targeted value that we're looking at to take care of the issue. So once the package is disrupted, we still have to send a guy down there to make sure everything's good to go. There's no other hazards there, and then we're done. And then we're going to start the forensic side of things of collecting evidence.
Now, and this might sound like a dumb question. Do bombs and explosives look like they look like in the movies, or are they totally different?
I mean, mostly different.
Okay, there's not an alarm clock with a bunch of wires.
No, there can be.
Okay.
Don't get me wrong. There have been those devices. Those are, but some of those are just kind of outlandish.
Yeah.
I mean, not to say it's impossible for not to look like that. But most of the time, they don't. Those are, but you get your pipe bombs and you get some of these other devices, pressure cooker devices. So, but most devices aren't that way. You get these kids are getting stuff off of YouTube and whatnot. So, then the other thing is if we can't detonate something, and if we don't figure it's safe to detonate something or disrupt something in that area, we got our total containment vessel, which is basically looks like a big ball that it's made of very thick steel, and we can put it in there and detonate it inside that, or we can take it out to our range, take it out of that, and detonate it there too. This can also, if we ever get a chemical or biological attack, which you never know in this country, is very possible.
Yeah, and you train for that.
You train for that. We can detonate inside this total containment vessel as well, completely seal it so that nothing comes out. We can detonate it, and then we can sample what the chemical is on the inside, so we can send it off to the lab and keep it sealed. And then once we figure out what we can do is we can decontaminate the inside and kill whatever it is, or neutralize it, and just without ever opening the door. So if we ever have something like that, we have the capabilities to do that as well.
So are there sort of things that you can talk about of when you were called out to a scene and you're like, this is a scary thing, or this is a explosive that could really hurt a lot of people here locally, but because you were here, you got to take care of it and detonate it or get rid of it or anything like that?
Search warrant. Narcotics ran a search warrant here in Orange County. During their search, they found 19 homemade pipe bombs in the house. So they're out there. Most are made of homemade materials. And so these guys were searching, and they had no idea what they had just come across, and then they called us. So that was one of our calls.
So when something like that happens, you go in and you're the experts. You realize, okay, this is an explosive, this is a bomb. I mean, do you just kind of be like, all right, like I've seen these before online, we can detonate these out at the range, or do you sort of clear the whole area and just and do it right there on the scene? Like, what do you even do with 19 pipe bombs?
I mean, most of the time we'll clear the area. Again, we go back to go by the numbers, because God forbid if we move them, we don't really necessarily know exactly what they're made of until we still start doing the testing. So it could be some homemade explosives or something that they've come up with, because they might be making it one way, or they might find the ingredients per se online and they don't do it exactly right, and so it becomes very sensitive. So it may not even be safe for us to move because we don't know necessarily what's in it. Mm-hmm. So we're going to always clear the area, do it by the numbers, just in case anything goes bad. Just because we think they're pipe bombs, or they are pipe bombs, but we don't necessarily know what's inside of it. So.
With that said, we've ran a couple calls here lately where people are making their own homemade explosives, and with their mixtures, we don't know. We've had a couple detonate, and injuries have occurred. So we've responded afterwards to do basically a post blast to figure out what they're making, how they're making it, and where they're getting their products from.
How does that call come in? Does a neighbor call and be like, I keep hearing explosives going on in my neighbor's yard. I think you guys better go check this out.
Sometimes it comes in like that, or sometimes it's because, they injured themselves. So, they're making it and it goes off inadvertently, whether they're packing it or whatever they're doing to it. When they're making it, it goes off and they injure themselves. So the fire department goes out, treats them, and then they call us. Something like that. So that's how we normally get the call. But yeah, there's other times where, on the one we've had this year, or one of them, the neighbor's like, oh yeah, we keep hearing these explosions. Now they didn't call. It wasn't until he injured himself making his own devices that we got the phone call. So, if someone's out there and they keep hearing these loud explosions, you might want to call, give somebody a call, because one, it might prevent somebody, but who knows what they're doing, if it's just innocent making their own fireworks, or if it's something nefarious that they're doing.
Yeah. Am I allowed to make my own fireworks? Is that a legal thing in Florida? Okay. Doesn't sound like it.
No, not really. We don't recommend it.
Okay.
All the chemicals are technically legal to have, but the actual making of the devices is not. I mean, because something they step up a lot of times, and it gets it goes.
It's probably not an exact science for folks that are making them.
Unless you're a chemist, then I wouldn't. We don't recommend it and really don't encourage it. It's really not legal necessarily in Florida.
Speaking of legality, I mean, with pipe bombs and all that, I mean, what is the penalty if I get caught with something or it explodes and hurts somebody?
I mean, it's a felony charge, and realistically, you can get federally charged too. So a lot of times, we work closely with the FBI and the ATF, so they'll come in and they can charge you federally as well, not just local charges. So you can get those federal charges as well. So, depending on if you injure somebody, if you injure yourself, or you're just making them, depending on what your intent is, I mean, it's a wide variety of different penalties that you could face.
And we get a lot of those calls. Well, it's just fireworks. It's not just fireworks.
Master Debbie, what do you like about doing this job?
We like everybody. I mean, on this team likes the adrenaline rush. We're there to protect the citizens of Orange County. It's a unique field. It provides, a lot of good training for us, and our guys are like I said before, they're the greatest on the team, I think, in the country. We train like we perform. We run these guys hard, and the guys that have set us up prior that were on the teams has set us up for success later on, and that's what our plan is. To when we hand the team off to other folks to be better than us.
Well, how many people are on the team?
So it's currently 12. We just brought in 3 new ones, so that brings us up to 12. That number is kind of set by the FBI. They regulate because they do our certifications on how many people we can have on our team. And it's based off the number of calls we run each year and the size of the area we cover and the different threat levels. So, you got high-value targets, kind of like some of the theme parks here. So we got those. So that's why we kind of have a little bit more compared to some other teams that may only have 3 or 4 people.
I assume both of you have done this for years and years and years. As technology changes, does your job change as well, both on the gear side of it, but also maybe on the explosive side on it? Do people just have more access to things and knowledge because, like you said, they can watch YouTube and make things? And have the ingredients changed at all?
Not necessarily the ingredients changed, but the access to the ingredients, the access to the components, and the different type devices is also changing. So not only that, but also how we respond. So different techniques. At the FBI, they have people who just do testing on different techniques, on how to deal with pipe bombs, other devices, and what's the best way, what's the best tool to use. So that's continuously changing, especially for us, which is good. But we got to try to keep up with the bad guys who are continuously changing as well and getting that information.
We get bulletins weekly and from overseas and locally of what's going on, what they're seeing. If they have a new whiz bang trigger that's just came out, they're going to get it out to us quickly because it's spreading quickly around the world of, hey, we can use this to do this.
I think that's something that a lot of people who don't work in law enforcement don't realize of how much information there is out there in terms of like what else is going on in the world. And you make a good point that there's so much going on behind the scenes to make sure the general population is safe that they'll probably never know about, which is probably a good thing. But like you said, you train for things that could go terribly wrong at theme parks, and you keep up on bomb technology that might be happening on another side of the world. So if any of that ever were to come here to Central Florida, we're ready for it, although hopefully it doesn't happen.
Yeah, hopefully we'll never see it. We hope we never see it. Then we had Pulse, we just hit the 5-year anniversary. We never thought we'd have that, and, we did. And so hopefully we'll never have that again or anything like that, or an attack at the theme parks or anything like that. I'd love to never see that in my career. It's just simple pipe bombs or something like that. But we always got to train to the worst case scenario and keep up with that, just in case it does, so guys can perform well. They don't just rely on their training. They don't think about what we have to do. They just do it.
We've had a couple attempts that we can't talk about, obviously, that they have attempted. For some reason, it has either failed or been intercepted prior to. It's here. So that's why we push our guys the way we do.
I wanted you to both answer this if you can. Are there ever times when you get called out to a situation and maybe there's explosives and you have to go out or somebody has to go out in the suit? I mean, can it be really scary? Because you don't know what's going to happen. And once again, in the movies, you can fast forward to the end and see if they make it, but real life ain't like that.
Yeah, of course. I mean, dealing with the unknown, but we take our precautions. We work it by the numbers. Again, if we can stay remote, we're going to stay remote. We're going to work that problem until we cannot use that robot anymore. Mm-hmm. And then we'll decide how we're going to proceed from there. If we're going to send a guy down in the suit, which is most likely going to be the option or the only option at that point, but we're going to try to keep our guys safe. I mean, we're not going to be like that movie, that guy just wants to go save the world by hand, and that's not going to happen.
How do you pick who gets to go in the suit and go and deal with the bomb?
Our guys fight for it.
Oh, really?
Yes, they do.
All right.
They want the work. That's what they train for. They don't want to be doing. They want the suit work, and they will argue with each other at the truck of who's going in the suit.
How protective is it? I mean, I'm assuming there's some explosives that no matter what sort of suit you wear, you're not going to be protected.
Well, yeah. I mean, there's videos out there. I got one presentation I normally do, and there's a picture of it over in Thailand of the bomb tech, and car bomb goes off, and he gets it knocks him about 30 feet away. He gets up, walks away. So it does a lot of protection. Now, granted, depending on the size of the device or the amount of shrapnel or stuff that kicks off, that it could, you could get injured, severely injured or killed. But there's still a lot. I mean, there is a lot of protection. There's a lot of, they've done a lot of research on that stuff to make sure that we're safe in our, using that bomb suit when we're doing it.
So let's say I'm a investor in property and I buy a house and we're going through the house and turns out somebody was storing explosives there. Let's say a grenade or something like that. What happens then? Do I call 911 and say, hey, look, there's a grenade here. I don't know if it's live or not, or it can be live, and can you guys send the bomb squad out to take care of it?
Yeah, so, it goes back to, call 911, and the patrol deputies normally will go out first, and they'll get the phone call, and then they'll call us, and we'll come out. If it's a grenade, we'll go out and do an assessment on it, determine whether it's live or not. And if it's live, especially if it's a military ordinance, we got to call the military in. So Patrick Air Force Base has the closest one to us. So they'll come out and take a look at it to see if what it is, determine whether the safety of it is what it is, and pack it up and take it with them, or if we're just dispose of it ourselves.
And let's go over to the disposing part of it. So you talked about the range a little bit, and if you're not familiar, the range, the Orange County Sheriff's Office range, middle of nowhere. I mean, you barely get cell service out there, which is probably on purpose. Is that where you do a lot of your training? And when you're out there, do you get to blow up a bunch of stuff? And is it kind of fun to blow up things?
Of course it's fun to blow up stuff. But yes, if we have to do any emergency destructs that we can't do on site, we would prefer not to transport it if we don't have to.
Yeah.
But depending on the location and where we're at, we might have to transport in the total containment vessel. But, we do have a range out there, and we do a lot of emergency destructs. We also do stuff where we have to get rid of, say, guns that were used in a crime that have all now rusted up, and they're still loaded with live rounds. We'll get rid of those also to make them safe, because we just can't burn those. So, but, yeah, the range is our main destruction area.
So when you blow stuff up out at the range, I mean, there might be a more technical term for that. I mean, do you have to tell everybody around hey, this is going to be loud for the next hour?
Well, we used to not have to, but with all the growth that's going on out there, in and around the range, they've had a school. It's still a ways away, but we've had to start telling them, because sometimes that makes the extra noise, kind of, especially if there's low clouds or something like that, where the blast pressure of the noise bounces back and it goes out, that they start hearing it. So we've started having to do that as the growth out there is growing. But yeah, it's a good time. I mean, you always like to blow stuff up. So as long as, especially when you're doing it in a controlled environment.
Yeah.
That's the big thing out there, is we're doing it in a controlled environment, doing it safely. We also do demos for different groups or something like that, especially within the sheriff's office. But But yeah, we definitely have to tell people just because there's so much people out there. Range is next to us and some other things that are going on out there.
How do you blow something up? I mean, do you just put it in the middle of a field and put stuff around it and run away and hit a button?
No, I mean,
okay.
A lot of times we use other explosives, obviously. There's different types of explosives we'll use, but we'll put a cap with it and we'll either run electrical lines, what we call a shock tube, which is kind of like a plastic tube with a small amount of explosives in it, or we got remote fire sets, so we can put it there and it's kind of like remote control and we'll come up further away.
Our latest good one out there was we typically run, we talk back to fireworks, guys making their own fireworks. So we typically run a couple calls a year where guys are making their own fireworks and either they don't want them anymore, and so how all these chemicals we have to dispose of. So we'll bring them out to the range, dig holes because we got to put them in the ground, make sure there's no frag that gets shot out. And we'll do multiple detonations. The latest one was 12 in a row, I think. But sometimes it can be in the middle of the night. So you know how it is when it gets dark and things start going off. So we do have to make those calls.
Let people know that it's not World War III going on out there. It's just you guys doing your job, keeping everybody safe. Well, Lieutenant Hall, Master Deputy Brooks, I hope I never see you in my neighborhood because I don't want that next door to me. But if you are there, I'll be happy because I know it'll be taken care of properly.
Well, thank you. I appreciate you having us and talking a little bit about what we do.
Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you guys again for being on Behind the Star, and we'll see you guys next time. Thanks for listening. Don't forget to subscribe to Behind the Star. You can find us wherever you get your favorite podcasts. Also, follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. Until next time, I'm Jon Busdeker, and this is Behind the Star.